Welcome back to Lights Out Latest, episode number 20. You may notice we are in a bit of a different studio set, whatever you want to call it now. Very exciting. I'm sure we're all very excited.
Very exciting.
However, bear with us on the lighting.
The lighting is a work in progress.
Yes, it's a work in progress.
Listen, we can get the big bucks. We can start funding these studios, but the lighting will always get us.
It's always the lighting.
It's always the lighting.
Mm.
But we have a couple of big announcements, not only the studio, but we are going to be on a live show this coming Thursday around 5:50 called 360 Sports. We're going to talk all things F1 liveries. And with that said, we're not going to go too deep into the F1 liveries today, but we do want to talk one basic thing, which is there's no livery. There's no paint.
There's no paint.
What happened to the paint?
The paint is gone.
I think Alpine just ran out of budget, unfortunately.
That could be also true. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's just a big cover-up.
They've used all the pink paint in the world. It's gone. The Alpine F1 team has used it all. And it's a shame because the cars look awful. But we'll talk about that on Thursday.
More to come on that.
360 Sports, PSU, YouTube, 5:30
plug it in the
Eastern
chat.
Yep.
It's going to be so fun. But with that said, let's talk about Christian Horner. I was going to say legal troubles, but it's not quite legal troubles. Not yet, at least.
No.
But that's a big discussion point, right? Like, it's not... He's had this issue, but it's internal. So I think that's going to play into how long it's going to take us to get affirmative results or
I mean,
whatever.
Red Bull's going to take care of it. No matter what happens, something's going to get taken care of. Hopefully, again, it doesn't seem like it's like a... What is the exact report? It's for
inappropriate behavior.
Inappropriate behavior.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, what I've heard is most people are saying it's just like some kind of like aggressive management, which I'm gonna sound really bad for saying this, but if it's aggressive management,
boy.
I feel like this shouldn't even be happening. We shouldn't have any type of.
Well, there's been no legal charges. Like, he isn't being
Yet.
criminally
Exactly.
sued yet,
Yeah.
charged or anything. Like, this could be dragged out a while. Like BBC has been saying, like, this will probably take forever to resolve.
Yeah, and for sure, I agree. But honestly, like I was saying, like I feel like if it's aggressive management, then maybe there's like counseling services that need to be done, not him being sacked.
Oh,
If that makes sense to me, that might be a
point.
hot take, but
No.
that's how I feel about it. I mean, obviously, if it was anything in the realm of sexual, if there were photos that nobody asked for that were sent or anything of that nature, then I totally agree. Then something needs to be done, and we need to figure this out. But if it was something like aggressive management, meaning like look at the sport that we're talking about, right? We're talking about F1. This is huge.
Lots of big egos.
Exactly.
Honestly, 90% of it is just managing big egos.
Yeah.
That's all
That's true.
Stefano does.
I think literally this whole situation is it's like three things. A, we don't know enough. B, it's like, again, like you're saying, if it's aggressive management, that could be, a little bit like, I don't know, maybe the employee was asked to do something like a little bit kind of outside of her job expectancy. And then like she felt like, oh, like this is management to like whatever. And then blah, 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 blah. And it's going like that, whatever. But, and then like the third thing is just being like, again, I think Red Bull is just going to take care of it. I don't feel like it's going to go.
Like, if you just like managing like a tyrant, and people don't like that because who likes that? Nobody.
Yeah.
Right.
Red Bull might just send them to like sensitivity training or something.
Literally.
That's
Real.
exactly what I was gonna bring up. I mean,
Yeah.
Tristan, we saw this in NASCAR with Kyle Larson.
Yeah, well, that's,
It's a different situation, absolutely. Well, I'm trying to think who else did something like that recently in NASCAR. There was someone else.
In terms of like
Sensitivity
a management thing, I mean, we've had a couple of like crew chiefs like do like kind of because that's what they do. They are essentially the team managers as the crew chiefs. But they'll like get some of the employees occasionally to do a task that's like, again, a little bit too above their pay grade, and then the employees will complain. But usually it doesn't make headlining news. So that's kind of why this situation's a little unique.
Yeah, that's a big thing as well that I know like Sky Sports was discussing and stuff like that. It was like we don't have almost any information on this, right? We have inappropriate behavior or aggressive management or anything like that that's been thrown out there.
Yep.
But this was thrown out there very like prematurely, right? Like we might have heard headlines like you're saying about like a crew chief once it happened, like he's already fired for this, right? But because like the media has run with the story so much that there's all these wild rumors. I don't even know what to believe anymore. Like,
No.
what is
Yeah.
the truth? And
Yeah.
right now, the only thing that I can take as truth, even like, I don't even think that I would fully 100% trust BBC or Sky Sports. They're running with information that is, like, say, on the streets,
Yep.
right?
That's true.
So
That's true.
the only thing that I trust 100% is that Red Bull received this complaint from an employee. We don't even know officially if it's a female or male.
Right,
We've heard
true, yeah,
female
yeah.
employee, but it could be a male.
Yeah.
We received this complaint from an employee, and we are investigating it.
Yeah.
We know that Christian Horner was thoroughly interviewed on Friday for like 8 hours. Other than that, there's no information that we can sit here and say is 100%.
Yep.
No.
Just gonna have to
no.
speculate.
Well, that's
It's
the
all
thing.
speculation.
I mean, just look at the length of the meeting by itself. You know, is it like an 8-hour meeting? It's like
I feel
I-
like something that was clear cut wrong would have been much quicker than
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like this is probably something
You're probably
like,
right.
like we already said, like aggressive management. He just being an asshole.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a big old HR thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You know,
agree.
Just feelings, and someone's feelings got hurt. And I mean, the biggest thing I would say with this whole thing is, though, of course, it's at the mercy of the woman who filed the complaints. You know,
Right.
Or man.
You're
Person.
right. Yeah,
We don't even know that.
that
yeah.
that is true. That is true. But yeah,
I agree.
It depends on how far they want to go with it. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you know, since it is a Red Bull thing, they could be like, well, hush money if something did happen or something like that, or if something didn't happen, then it will be, you know, nothing will really come from it. But
Yep.
again, if the woman goes far with it, this could have huge ramifications. You
Yep.
know, this could become a court case very easily.
We're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's move on. Another big news: steak will not be able to be called steak in many countries. The people have already said this before, but they are also having some legal troubles of their own with the Federal Casino Commission of Switzerland, saying, suing them because they are not a licensed gambling company in Switzerland, which is where Sauber is from. So how can you be a name partner or, like a name sponsor of a company based in Switzerland but not exist in Switzerland?
Well, see, just like the last headline there. There's a lot of layers to this, and one, how did Steak not think of this beforehand is
Yeah, that's
beyond
what I
me.
was gonna say.
But no, I mean, they had Steak in the car last year, and from what I heard, that they took it off at races that it wasn't regulated.
Yeah.
Um,
Places like Australia
right.
that have bans on this kind of stuff where you
Right.
cannot promote gambling.
Yeah, so I think it sounds like they're going to do a similar thing, and from what I've heard at least, they're going to maybe more heavily rely on the Kick name on countries that they can't have Steak on the car. It's just going to be more like Kick F1 team.
Yeah, photos
But-
of their filming day showed Kick
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
on the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's just strange. It's like, as Steak, right? We know it as Steak F1 team. Like, how do you put this much investment into like an organization or whatever you want to do? Like, it's business for them at the end of the day.
yeah.
And then half the concept of your entire investment, you're not even able to show your name.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense
Well,
to me.
it's interesting, too, because you kind of brought up there. It's like, for the first time probably in F1 history, we're going to have a different racing name based on the race.
Yeah, literally.
Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we've seen this kind of with other sponsors, things like cigarette sponsors and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is just like, it's just crazy
It's
to
the
me how
name
they
of a team.
didn't. Exactly. It's the whole name. It's not one sponsor.
That's
or
what I'm
one
saying. It's
car.
like if Marlboro directly bought a team, right? And then they were like, okay, well, we just can't be called Marlboro now. Like, why? Like, why
Guys,
would
we
you
messed
buy
up.
a team?
At least they have Kick.
Yeah.
Like, Kick is like a gateway to Steak because Kick is their streaming platform.
That is if Kick
Because
pans
not
out.
many streaming
Oh.
platforms like allow gambling on there.
Yeah.
So then they just created their own streaming platform and they let gambling on there.
The only thing that I'm thinking
Huh.
is like this seems like such a short-term concept though to me. It's like how do they expect Kick to be like the same concept or like even be around 10 years from now? Like is this ownership meant to last? Like
yeah.
we're going to
Yeah.
see Steak for like 30 years or
No,
is it
it's
going to
a-
be like in and out? They sign like a deal for like
But this is
2 years and they're like,
this
"Oh,
is
no."
short term, is it not? Because this will be.
Only until Audi,
Audi.
in 2026.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
So
so,
this
we're
is
only going to have
short-term.
Steak for 2 years.
Maybe,
I would
maybe it makes
assume-
sense then.
Yeah, I would
yeah.
assume that when Audi gets here, they're gonna have Audi F1 team
Yeah,
and not
yeah,
have
yeah.
name sponsors. Now,
Yeah.
whether or not Steak will stick around,
Exactly.
as like not as much of a name sponsor, more like just a regular sponsor on the car, whatever.
Yep.
Are we going to
We'll see.
see kick, stake Audi F1 team?
I doubt
No,
it.
I doubt Audi will. let
Could
that
you
happen.
I
imagine?
doubt it. I doubt it. I think Audi is invested enough in this project to where they're not
Yeah.
going to put anybody else
No.
on that
No.
car or on
That-
that
yeah.
team.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there is some other news this week. F1 Commission met and they approved rule changes for this year. Firstly, PU allocations back to 4 was 3 for the power units, which, to be honest, I don't fully understand because I don't think did anyone get power unit penalties this year?
I don't remember a single one.
Nah, I don't think so.
I mean, I could be missing them because there were people that like started from the pit lane for changing other things, and then maybe they changed a power unit as well.
Yeah.
But I don't remember any power unit big issues this year. Maybe that's me and I don't remember, but I genuinely just feel
Cars
like there
have
weren't
gotten way more reliable.
Exactly.
across
Yeah.
the years.
I mean,
So
that's what
what's
we've
the
been
point?
talking about. Yeah.
any. Is this because we are now going to have, is it one more race, 2 more races from compared to last year? So
Yeah.
maybe with those 2 races, yes, you are going to need another power unit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because I feel like they've gotten so much more reliable that we really just didn't need the 4th.
Maybe again,
but-
this is like theory crafting almost, but like maybe there's expectations of power unit
Failures.
unreliability
Yeah,
maybe this
maybe.
year. I don't think that's
No.
like reaching, but like
And
still.
I'm sure it'll go back up for 2026.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There will be a
Yep.
period of open development again.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. Well, another one of the rule changes is DRS will now be activated after 1 lap rather than 2, both at the start of the race and after safety cars and virtual safety cars. So I think that's a win for F1. I think 2 laps
that's a
is
win.
too long.
Yeah, I love that. And quite honestly, I mean, you guys probably know this better than I do, but why don't they have it at the start of the race? That's what my question is.
I think it's just prevent crashes.
Yeah, I was gonna
Fair
say
enough.
maybe too aggressive overtaking then if you
Yeah.
have the ability
Because
of DRS.
every car would have it all at once.
Yeah.
While you give a couple laps for them to space out a
Space
little.
out a bit.
Yeah.
And the
That's fair,
driver
that's
that are
fair.
still close would get it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a feeling that like if you started right after, like right at the first lap, they're all so close to each other. I feel like they would stay that way for most of the race because
Right.
everybody's in DRS. They always have endless until you pit, and then everybody jumbles. You pretty much have DRS on everybody the whole time.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And I just don't feel like that would create good racing.
That's
like when
true.
you're in those
That's true.
DRS trains, we saw it last year a lot. You in these DRS trains, there's nothing you can do. Like you're just
Yeah.
stuck there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I mean I like the move though. Obviously, I mean, now you're just gonna have more aggressive racing from the start. You know, I mean, obviously you're gonna have kind of like I don't want to call it formation lap because that's not what it is, but that kind of first lap to kind of settle in and kind of let everyone space out, like you said, and then you're gonna have, people going crazy with the DRS. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's gonna be great.
I think it's a big change. I really do. I'm excited because I think we're gonna have enough spacing, obviously, after the first lap, to like see like where everyone's kind of shuffled out to. But like that change from 1 lap is like I don't know. That's like a big change in my opinion. It's like that a whole lap of time is a lot more time than people think it is.
Yeah.
So like cutting it back even shorter to get these guys like dicing it up a little earlier is like. I don't know. It's really cool.
Yeah, because Max Verstappen, 2 laps would be like 1.5.
That's
2
what I'm
seconds
saying.
in
Yeah,
front.
he's
That is
already
true.
out
That
there.
is
So
true.
like,
helps a ton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But compared to after 1 lap, he's going to be maybe if he has the same car as he did last year with the same advantage, he'll be maybe half a second or a little bit more ahead, and you still have time to catch up to him
Yep.
with DRS. But last but not least for the F1 Commission rule changes, F1 confirmed new sprint race format will be FP1 sprint qualifying on Friday. Then you got the sprint race and normal qualifying on Saturday and Sunday, obviously the race. Thoughts? What do y'all think?
This is interesting to me, especially how they're having basically the sprint race and qualifying for the race on the same day, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's kind of crazy to me.
It's going to be a packed Saturday. I think Saturday will probably bring out the most fans because you are getting a mini race, but you're also getting the qualifying, so you kind of get the
Yeah.
best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Obviously, people will still always show up on Sunday,
Yeah.
but I also like the idea that Saturday is not like its own little like mini day anymore. Because I don't know if you guys
That's
remember
true.
last year it was FP1 qualifying for the race. Then you got Saturday was a sprint race qualifying and the sprint race, and then you have the race on Sunday. So Saturday kind of just didn't fit into the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I like that. I also don't know how many people are going to want to come to sprint qualifying on Friday. So I kind of think it defeats their purpose.
I
That's
think
true.
Friday
I like
is
that's
definitely
chronological now.
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
was gonna say it's chronological now. I like how I know Friday is gonna be the weakest day for sure.
For sure.
But I like the Saturday layout because I know this is coming from like NASCAR, but NASCAR what they'll do sometimes is we got our like college series guys essentially for like the Xfinity series and all them. they will go run, and then if it's a morning race or like a midday race right after them, then the Cup guys will possibly qualify on some weekends. And I like that setup because if you're there for the day, it adds one last layer of the day. Everyone loves it, in my opinion. I love qualifying.
Yeah.
So Saturday seems like, as a viewer, is going to be my ticket. Like, I want to watch Saturday, like
I agree.
quite a
Yep.
bit. Sunday, of course, you want to watch the race, but like Saturday seems like a lot of fun. I like that whole setup. So
I agree.
Yeah, well, the only thing I totally agree this could be absolutely awesome, but I kind of think of it from a driver's perspective. How's it going to be doing
tough.
like a 20-lap sprint race, then immediately after, like, okay, time to go in doing some qualifying for the big race. You guys ready? It's like, what?
It's going to be tough for the teams.
they get paid millions of dollars. I don't
Wow,
freaking care. They can figure it out.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'd rather be in that position. Oh no, I have to now qualify a race car instead of like worrying about
No,
like,
that's
going to
true.
work the next morning.
then-
Like,
My other question would just be, how is that going to work with tires?
With
That's a
tire
good point.
allocations, I'm sure they'll figure it out with tire
Yeah.
allocations, but there definitely will be a change in that. And I think there was also mentions of being a change for park permit conditions so that we can change that up a bit. I don't know how they're going to do it
Yeah.
because I
Right.
think I really like the fact that you cannot change the car from after FP1, like sprint qualifying starts and you're locked in.
Yeah.
But I can see why teams don't like it.
I
Like
believe,
for us, it creates
yeah.
kind of a bit of better. It could be better racing or worse racing depending on how the setups pan out.
right.
Yeah. That's true. That's
Yep.
true.
I think the gap is for Parc Ferme is going to be from the Friday qualifying up until the sprint race, and then after the sprint race it opens again, and then Parc Ferme enters again for the Grand Prix qualifying on Saturday.
That would make sense. That
Yeah.
would make sense.
Yeah.
However, that could I guess it depends on how it works out, but that could create for much better racing because they've seen how their cars qualify under the setup they had and how they raced, and now they can reevaluate their setup to either favor qualifying or favor the race.
Right.
True.
So
True.
we'll see how that pans out. Well, one last piece of news. James Vowles confirmed that Albon will not be leaving the team for 2025. He's not going to Mercedes. He's not going to Red Bull. He's staying with Williams for 2025.
Very nice.
Well, that was a short little bit of
a short,
excitement
silly
there.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it looks like he was getting a contract option there from Red Bull, but that got shot down
Shut
pretty
down
quick. there.
quite immediately.
Yeah. I mean, good for him. It's Williams. It's nothing too crazy. I mean, it's nothing too bad either, but it's like, meh. It's
Yeah.
But
I don't-
was
I don't
that
know.
only an option? Like, do both sides have to agree? Like, Williams says, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we got him for 2025, but that's Williams signing on their option for 2025, and now Alex has to decide
That's true.
if he
Right.
wants
That's
to
true.
stay.
I mean, there's a chance still. I think we know like the situation with George, and Mercedes and stuff like that with that Williams seat and the Mercedes because of that close relationship. I don't know that James Vowles at Williams saying we have Albon for 2025 necessarily eliminates him from the Mercedes seat.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this happened to Grosjean in IndyCar, where he signed the contract for Andretti for 2024, but Andretti didn't sign the contract extension. And that was a whole big drama thing in IndyCar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so something similar might happen. And hey, Lewis Hamilton got out of his contract for next year. That was
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
option
Yeah.
too.
Yep.
Yeah, we're
So
seeing more
who
and
knows
more.
about Albon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly the main thing was that it eliminated the Red Bull option, if that makes sense.
That's
like
true.
him saying that I think really confirms that he is going to stay in that family, let's say, in that Williams Mercedes kind of family. So yeah, let's see what happens with that. But I think we could be pretty certain that he'll be at the Williams for 2025.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
him in Williams. I hope he stays.
Yeah. I like knowing that he will 99% of the time outperform the car, and we can get these like
Yeah.
nice moments every once in a while where he's like really at the top of his game and scoring points and stuff like that. So,
True. True.
all right, let's move in to our 2024 predictions. I'm so excited for
Oh
this.
boy.
Been waiting for
Good
this for a
stuff.
couple days. Actually a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But let's go first with constructors. How do we think
Alright.
it's going to pan out? It looks like most of us are pretty set on the fact that Haas and Stake are going to be our bottom of the
Two,
barrel.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Why?
I just think it's going to be the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think much is going to change from those two teams. I mean, they are probably our two, in all the wrong ways, most talked about teams in the regard of like they do nothing. So, I mean, I see Jason has taken stake as below Haas. I actually have a feeling that for some reason they're going to get a couple more points than Haas's this year.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, the thing I think you look at with Haas, I mean, they lost people too. I mean,
Yeah.
they lost Gunther Steiner, so that's like no small loss.
Simone
They didn't lose him, they
Resta,
fired him.
The chief car
But-
designer too.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I think that also one of the reasons I put Haas last was because they also their new racing director or whatever, team principal, who I don't even know his name, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
But their new team principal said, "We expect to be last, or at the very least, the very back."
He did say that.
So I was like, if you're
Yeah.
already saying that, why should I have any faith in what you guys are gonna do this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Really.
doubting my prediction now. The only reason why I would put Stake last is if all the upgrades they're doing for Audi, with Audi investing in the team, it just causes chaos behind the scenes.
That's
Like,
fair.
We
That's
saw
fair.
McLaren was doing huge upgrades like with their wind tunnel and stuff since 2022,
Yeah.
and they were terrible. Like it was rough in 2022. 2023 they struggled for the first part of the year until they got the new wind tunnel running.
Yeah.
Yep.
And even that, we won't see the big effects of it until 2024. So, but no, you guys have kind of convinced me that Haas should be in last. And honestly, yeah, if your team principal, Ayu Komatsu,
Yep.
is saying you're going to be last.
I feel like we could trust that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can trust in his words.
All right, your middle / back of the pack looks like we all are Williams, Alpine, and V Carb in some variation.
Yeah.
You have
I have-
V-Carb. Wait, you have
I have
V-Carb?
Alpine as 8th,
Yeah.
V Carb as 7th, and Williams as 6th. Only because I have mega faith in Alex Albon,
yeah.
but also because I think Logan Sargent as a second year. I think at the end of the year he did have a much better races, much better qualifying than he did at the beginning of the year. He's starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I've said this a couple times. I think he was thrown into that seat way too early. I think that they wanted an American driver, and he was the best option.
Right.
But I think he could have used another year in F2, which would have been this year that he had last year in F1, where he's having a lot of crashes, he's not performing well, to kind of continue to evolve. And then you go to F1 like this year, and I think that this is going to be his year.
It's make or break year, in my opinion. Meaning,
Yeah.
like, he doesn't have to, like, score points to make the year. What he needs to do is keep that car in one piece.
Yeah.
So, like, as long as, I think, honestly, the goal should be no DNFs this entire year.
He has crashed less than like Mick or Nikita Mazepin.
Yeah. Which is,
sure.
again, he has, and that's all well and good. Like, again, I have faith in the kid, but also, like, I don't know. I feel like that should be goal number one of any driver year to year is, like, no DNFs, but especially for him, because he was at the top of the deconstructors. Destructors list.
Yeah.
And that needs to change. So, but also I think a lack of DNFs comes with the fact that he is going to help propel that Williams team a little bit higher. And then Alex Albon, like you've said, we've all said, he's
Yeah.
going to drive the wheels off that thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're going to propel themselves above. I don't know, in my opinion, if they're going to go above V-Carb, but
Yeah.
there's a chance. I see it possibly happening.
Yeah,
So-
we all have Cash App above Alpine, and I think that says a lot about Alpine.
Yeah.
and how this
I think it for me at least, the reason I did it was because I know the design changes that are coming to that V Carb, which is that it's going to follow in the Red Bull's footsteps. Now, do I think it's going to be an overnight fix? No. And I still think that car has a long way to go.
Yeah.
But you can already see it. I mean, I saw some people pointing it out in the design, the way the car is built. You can already see its comparisons to last year's Red Bull. And if that's any indication of how good that car can be, I just feel like they're gonna take a couple steps forward. But also at the same time, with Alpine's management is just not working right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I did it.
Yeah. Alpine's nothing to, tip your hat at, really.
No.
I mean, Williams, Alpine, kind of the same difference, I feel like.
Nope.
Yep.
It's crazy because Williams is like this small privateer racing only team, and Alpine is literally Renault, Stellantis.
That is true.
Owned by
Peugeot
celebrities.
merged together.
And they have that WRC team.
Yep.
Yep. And they have, the celebrity
WEC.
the celebrity investments with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce.
Yep.
You got Ryan Reynolds, like all these investments, and I feel like they're just doing nothing. Like I legitimately want to know where that money is going because I don't feel like it's moved the team forward, at least not yet. So we'll see now with a full year of their investment and all the money that's hopefully coming into the team. We'll see what happens on that front. I want to hear what you guys have for top 5 because I think all of us varied a bit.
Yeah.
I believe
so.
so.
I can go first, I guess. Are we
Go for it.
going 1 to 5 or 5 to 1?
5 to 1.
Okay.
Let's go 5 to 1.
All right. So I got Aston, I got Mercedes, I got Red Bull, McLaren,
Whoa.
Steven,
and
this
one
list is crazy.
I have Ferrari.
Let's
This
go
is
Ferrari.
wild.
I have Ferrari.
Although
Now-
next year is our year. I'm waiting for Hamilton.
You say that every year.
Yeah, well, it's next year's our year.
Well, you know
The
what's funny?
delusions of a
I
Ferrari
don't know if
fan.
you guys saw this post, but there was a post put out, I believe, by ESPN F1 that had like NFL comparisons to F1 teams.
I saw this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Ferrari was compared to the Dallas Cowboys.
That's
Cool.
hilarious.
That
it
is
was-
so
They're
sad.
not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But you know what though? I don't know. I just feel like you have two drivers that are gonna be absolutely motivated that they prove they need their spot.
True.
Yeah.
You know, Carlos Sainz is going into a contract year. We don't really know where he's going right now. I think he's gonna be motivated as heck to go out there and just race the rules off the Ferrari and
True.
and you have Charles Leclerc who just got a new contract and he's gonna want to prove to everyone why he deserves that contract.
Right.
And
For
coming off
sure.
of last
That's a
year,
good
a very disappointing season, I think you have two very, very motivated Ferraris coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the only team to win a race besides Red Bull. So I mean, you have that
Yeah,
going for you. Is that
exactly.
they've got some pace to make it happen.
Yeah.
I think in terms of top 5, Marina, I think you got to go. I'm looking at this top 5.
Oh,
it's
really?
kind of crazy here. That there's one thing that I see that's a little. We need to talk about it.
Or are you talking about Ferrari being
Below Aston Martin
below Aston Martin? So,
and Mercedes being below
Okay.
both of them.
I
Someone has
have,
a little faith.
I have Mercedes at 5. I have Ferrari at 4, Aston at 3, Red Bull at 2, and McLaren taking it home.
Let's go McLaren, baby.
That's crazy.
So I'm going to explain my list. First of all, I just don't have faith in Mercedes, point blank, period. Like,
Yep.
that's all I have to say for that. Ferrari has so many issues. Strategy is number 1.
Yep.
You have the fact that Carlos Sainz is leaving, and he said it. He even said, I think he said in an interview, he was like, my goal is to be world champion in 2024. And I was like, whoa. If he is putting that kind of, not pressure on himself, but if that's what he wants out of this season, I have a feeling there's going to be some crashes going on.
That's a fair.
This year,
That's fair.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
saw it in 2020 when they announced Seb was leaving before the season started. There were several crashes that year between the two Ferraris. So that's my reasoning behind that. Aston Martin spent all year last year saying, we're not worried about this year. The podiums are great, but our goal is 2025. That's when we want to, or 2024 and 2025. That's when we want to strive.
Right.
That's when we want to go for our wins. That's when we want to be P1, P2 the whole time. So I have a lot of faith in them this year. And I could be completely misguided, but I
Fair
feel
play
like this is
for
going to be
them.
a good
They have
year
a
for
lot.
them. They have a lot going
invested
for them.
A ton of money in
Yeah.
the new HQ. They've totally moved in. They've got everything sorted. Otmar is gone. Mike Crack is in, and it's all looking up for them.
Yeah.
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 Well, we also have, I did put Red Bull at 2 and McLaren at 1, and that's just purely because I think McLaren is a stronger duo. I think if they're going to be fighting at all between the two of them, McLaren's going to take top spot in constructors, and Red Bull will probably take top spot with Max Verstappen and the drivers. It's just because they have two good drivers.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true.
I have no faith in Sergio Perez, and I definitely think this is his last year in F1. There's
That's
no
fair.
way
That's fair.
Yeah.
he makes it to 2025
If you-
and not into the new regs either.
Here's my question. This is kind of a hypothetical, just because I'm curious. I mean, of course, I'm a McLaren fan, so of course I love that you said that. But
Yeah.
I still feel like if Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc are at the top of their game and you have McLaren against them, like their main rival, who do you put on top?
With no issues of strategy or anything
Yeah,
like that.
assume
like
that- assume they got everything
assuming they
fixed.
have this like the same teams, like fixed entities in that part, then I
Yeah.
would take Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc
Okay.
over Lando and Oscar. But that's not the case.
I was gonna
Right.
say if we're
Well, we don't know
assuming
that.
Ferrari isn't trying to shoot themselves in the foot, that's what you're
Exactly.
saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm looking at it from a hopeful perspective.
Hopeful.
I have faith that they can get that fixed.
Yeah.
All right. Tristan, who's your top 5?
I think my top 5 is fairly straightforward. I see one big move, which is Aston Martin P4 and Mercedes P5. I think
perfectly
we're
reasonable.
all kind of seeing a Mercedes downfall of a year,
Yeah.
which we can get into a little later. It's kind of where my biggest picks, especially this coming year, revolve around Mercedes. But yeah, so I have Mercedes in P5, Aston Martin P4, Ferrari P3, McLaren. I think they're going to be that the closest contender to Red Bull this year. I think everyone, obviously you guys are saying that Ferrari's going to be more of a contender, but also, I mean, you have McLaren at the top of the constructors, Marina. But
Yeah.
I think McLaren is going to be the toughest contender for Red Bull. I think they're going to lock up that second place spot with some headway over Ferrari, but I'm slowly getting more and more convinced that because, again, like Ferrari was the only team that really, really competed with them, Red Bull last
With
year.
a bad strategy.
With bad strategy. I mean, they did manage to win a race, like
A
Pole
race.
position.
a race, pole position.
A
I
race.
mean,
They got pole position, but they can't keep it.
yeah,
They can't keep it. Their tire deg is not it. If you look at the season as a whole, I agree with you. I think
Yeah.
Ferrari was stronger, but and they proved it. I mean, they proved it in the constructors. But if you look at the later half of the year with
Yeah.
McLaren, there's no arguing that Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri put much more of a fight to Max Verstappen than the two Ferrari guys.
yeah,
That's fair.
yeah.
That's
and I
fair.
think that's gonna be more of the same this coming year, but also like threats for race wins. So, and like obviously this past year there was not much threat. I think there was only a couple races where Max was within like 2 seconds or something of second place. Like meaning second place was within 2 seconds of Max. I think most of the margins were usually like at least 7 or 8 seconds, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think McLaren's gonna have a more consistent year than Ferrari, and Ferrari is gonna hang tough. I think they're not gonna be a bad team by any means. Again, I mean, third in the constructors is solid, but yeah, I don't think they're gonna be top dog compared to McLaren in terms of fighting for first, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally fair. Totally
Yeah,
fair.
Yeah.
same theme here. I thought, Mercedes going down and Ferrari going up. I have Aston Martin 5th, Mercedes 4th, McLaren 3rd, Ferrari 2nd, Red Bull 1st. And the only reason why I have Ferrari over Mercedes, Aston Martin, McLaren is because battle for P2 this year was between Mercedes and Ferrari.
Yep.
Ferrari only other ones to win a race. And I think it'll be really close for second place between Ferrari and McLaren, but I think Ferrari will be close to Red Bull.
Hope so.
You're also a Delulu Ferrari fan, so
Yeah, I literally have. We're about to get into it, but I see a Ferrari driver winning the drivers' championships.
whoa.
That's crazy.
All right, well, let's
Ooh.
look at drivers' predictions. We'll go straight into like top 5, what we think top 5 is going to look like. I guess I can start. I
Alright.
have my number 5 being Oscar Piastri. I think he had a great year last year, and like I said, I think I see McLaren as top dog in the constructors, so why not? I think they both. If you're saying McLaren is going to win constructors, you got to have both your drivers in the top 5 for sure. Leclerc 4th, Sainz 3rd, so I have Sainz taking it over Leclerc.
Leclerc.
And Norris 2nd, and obviously Max taking the
I do not
drivers.
have Sainz in my top 5
Wow.
or Perez.
Wow.
Well, I don't have Sergio Perez either. I don't think any of us have Sergio Perez in our
No.
top
I
5.
don't think so. No.
Which is crazy considering the level that I do still expect Red Bull to be at.
yeah.
Even as bad as he
But-
seemed this year, he still finished second.
Yeah,
the
I
drivers.
think we're all going to be wrong in that regard. None of us
agree.
want to put, Sergio Perez in
Yeah.
the top 5, but
Yeah.
he is probably going to be in the top 5.
He's under huge pressure this year.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he needs to be outstanding, otherwise he's out of F1.
Yeah.
It's make it or break it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's a good list. I like having, what's it called? Piastri P5. I think,
Yeah.
again, he's not in my list. I think there are some hitters in the constructors in general that I think are going to be able to take that 5th spot from him. But I think he's going to be close.
Yeah.
Norris P2 against Verstappen. Yeah, that's a good pull too. Yeah, I like it. I dig it.
All right, what's yours, Tristan, then? If you
Mine-
say Sainz isn't fit, Oscar isn't 5th, who's your 5th?
I don't think he's 5th because the old dog for Aston Martin he's gonna be out there. Fernando Alonso, I think he's gonna be P5. I think you guys are sleeping on Fernando Alonso. The P3 king. He'll be up there in P5. I'd maybe hovering right around there with P6. But in my heart, he's going to make the top 5. So I have Carlos Sainz, P4, behind Leclerc at P3. And then I have the same top 2 as Verstappen and Norris. Norris, obviously, in second. And then Verstappen, again, I believe he is going to win the championship once again.
I
Not
think
bad at all.
it's still a strong list.
I think so.
I definitely think that it wouldn't be wrong to say that Alonso and Oscar would fight for that 5-6
I think
spot.
so. I think that's actually going to be a very
That
exciting
could be
part
a fight,
about this year.
an exciting fight.
Yeah.
David versus Goliath? Question mark.
Kinda. I mean, well, you got rookie season for Fernando Alonso. He's he's a 377 race rookie.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Well, that's a cool stat. Pull that
Hey,
out.
he was rookie of the year.
rookie
at
of the year.
The 500 in 2017.
There you go. Yep. But yeah, I'm actually very excited for that because I think Piastri has the skill set to be a very good driver, and we saw that. I mean,
Yeah.
But I think Alonso with that car still has a lot of hunt in him, and it's gonna be a good battle almost for the podiums week to week with those two. I
Yeah.
think.
It's cool.
Yeah.
think
Amongst
that's
other
cool.
drivers, I think our top 5 is going to be.
Heavily disputed.
It's so disputed because we have such a strong class of 8 drivers that can be in the top 5.
And all the teams are
agree.
just so close to each other.
Yeah.
And I think they're going
Very
to be
true.
even closer than last year.
I fully
agree.
agree.
Hopefully. Yeah.
God, racing
Yeah.
can't come soon enough.
Oh,
I
just
know,
wait,
we're so
baby.
close.
Just wait.
But yeah, that's my top 5.
Yeah.
All right, Jason and Steven both have such an interesting top 5.
They do.
I can go, I suppose.
Yeah, go.
Go for it.
I have Leclerc number 1. I have
That's
Verstappen
insane.
number 2. I have Norris number 3, Sainz 4, and Piastri 5.
We're identical, but I have Hamilton in 4th and Sainz out.
That's fair. I mean, I definitely get your point, especially with after what Marina said. With I could totally see it where I think it's a fine line that Sainz could win like the Destructors next year.
Yeah, the only teammates we have in the top 5 are Norris and Piastri for McLaren.
Yeah.
Because we both think that they're so equally matched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't see Sainz taking that step. Leclerc easily qualifies ahead of him all the time.
Yeah.
Perez, gets destroyed by Verstappen.
Yep.
Leclerc's winning the championship because, of course.
Come on.
And,
Come on.
I don't see it,
Hamilton is
but
gonna
maybe
wipe
I'm
the floor
completely
with
wrong.
Russell. So
Well, here's the thing I would say too. I think we're gonna see like a Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen type of duel between Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen.
yeah, we
this year.
had that at the start of 2022.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
that? Charles Leclerc was
Yeah.
40 points clear at the start of the year.
which is still crazy to me.
Yep.
Insane. We had a real battle for those first 5 or 6 races.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And then
Leclerc
Ferrari
was
shot himself
leading.
in the foot,
Yep.
like Jason said, or like Tristan said. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think Ferrari's gonna have one of those years, except it'll last throughout the year. So
Oh.
I'm praying.
Let's
I'm
see.
hoping.
I think we're all praying for it, man.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to see some contention.
I don't think-
Except for Marina.
I don't. No. I was gonna say I don't think anyone would be upset at Ferrari taking a big step this year.
Yeah.
Like if
True.
if I'm completely wrong and Ferrari is first in the constructors, wins the drivers, I would be more than happy for them.
Hey, if
So
not,
happy.
next year's that year.
Yeah, you'll say that every year, but okay.
I love it.
I don't have to say that because every year is our year. Go Red Bull.
Oh,
Go Red Bull.
dang.
Yeah, we are taking this home.
Oh,
At
yeah.
least in the drivers, I think.
hmm
But
We'll see.
let's
see.
move on to most unexpected.
I'm excited for this. This is the one I want to talk about the most. In terms of, I want to hear everybody's.
Well, I want to hear
Yeah.
yours, Tristan,
You wanna
because
hear
I feel like
mine?
this is crazy.
I think mine is pretty aggressive. So I fully believe, again, I was hinting at this earlier at the Mercedes downfall. And in that Mercedes downfall, I see Lewis Hamilton not scoring a single podium this
That
entire year.
is-
Wow.
I see him, again, like I said, as one of those top 8 drivers who is going to be competing in the top 5. But I feel like he is going to be missing the podium completely. I think he's going to be scoring a lot of P4s and 5s. But there's going to be 3 drivers ahead of him every race,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Well,
Well,
here's the thing. Not
I
to
was
cut
gonna-
you off there,
Go
Marina.
for it.
I was gonna say this is more plausible than I think we are comfortable to discuss because he's going to Ferrari the year after.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm
So
Yeah.
he
hinting
can
at.
kind of just like. I mean, it's not a big risk, Just kind of sit back,
Well,
see
it
what
is
you-
because you don't want to undermine a 7-time champion to be like, he's going to do awful this year.
Yeah,
but
but
still.
So
No,
here's
but
my
he's
my
already
question
locked in
then.
next year, though. That's what my
Yeah,
point is.
he is leaving. But here's my question then: is that you saying that if he's going to be constantly 4 and 5, that George Russell will score podiums this year?
No, I think he's going to be below him. I just see
Wow.
Mercedes. I see Mercedes in general just taking a dip.
That's
Because
crazy.
like I could name like 6 drivers right now that I think are going to beat the 2 of them week in and week out.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Both
I
the
see
Red
it.
Bull guys, I can see Checo being above them just because of the speed of the car in general. Again, I don't have faith in Checo, but I can see both the McLaren cars being ahead of him, Piastri and Lando. I can see both the Ferrari guys. That's 6 drivers right there. And then
Yeah.
you throw Alonso into the mix, and then the occasional like performance maybe from like Lance Stroll if he gets lucky or something like that, or Danny Rick.
Perez.
What if Danny Rick goes off? What if he has like a good like
Yeah.
top 5
Yeah.
couple of races and stuff like that? And that right there, that's like 8 or 9 drivers that can compete for
Yeah.
the podium week in and week out.
That's fair.
And that's not even including Lewis and George. So I don't know. I really think the Mercedes is going to have a bad year.
that's
just,
fair.
That's fair.
Yep.
I like it. Well, mine is slightly less crazy and probably less up for debate than
This is
a lot of
such like
people.
a this is such like
this
a
is
Red Bull
such
thing that we're
a
going to
breaking
say.
records shirt saying. I don't think Max is going to win in Bahrain.
No, you can't say that.
Dang.
No, she just reverse jinxing it. It's like, because if she would have said that he would win in Bahrain, he wouldn't win. So obviously now he's
Okay,
gonna win.
but think about it like this. He won so many races last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone won.
He
We
did.
know.
Thank you for
we know.
reminding me.
He won.
We know.
He's gonna
He
let
won
somebody
by
else
Ra-
have a chance.
He won Bahrain by
Have a
so
turn.
far. And I think his drive to continue his new win streak that was broken last year will continue for into this year. So I feel like he's really hungry to take that first win.
Right.
So also the Bahrain curse was broken last year. So there's no like, oh, he won the first race, so he's probably not going to win the championship talks. I don't know. I just don't see him winning. I feel like this is going to be maybe a Lando Norris, a Leclerc.
I like that.
Oh yeah, Ferrari.
Well,
come
this
back.
kind of leads into.
Well, I was
Steven's
gonna say.
prediction.
Well, I was just gonna. Before I get to that though, I just want to ask this: where's Verstappen finishing if he doesn't win that race?
Wow.
third, second, third. He's
Okay.
still on the podium.
Okay.
For
Oh, yeah,
sure.
fair enough. Fair enough. I
For
was just
sure.
curious. But like you were saying, that does kind of segue into mine. Mine is kind of crazy, I guess you could say. Lando getting 3 wins next season,
Wow.
which I mean, hey, we talked about it. McLaren, they're a team to watch this year.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Like I
Um,
think it's gonna be a really close battle for second
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
McLaren, Ferrari.
Ferrari, yep.
Now, of course, it's hard because I don't think did Lando win the race last year?
No.
No, he didn't.
No, he hasn't gotten his first
Only
race win.
Oscar won
Right.
the
The
sprint
sprint
Okay.
race.
That's
Yeah.
why. Yeah, I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is crazy. Still, I don't know how he can.
But
Max
no,
win.
you know what though? I still think. I mean, for 2 reasons. One, I think Lando's had enough of not winning,
Yeah.
and
He's
2,
so hungry for that first win.
Yep.
and he has Oscar right behind him now with that
Pushing
pressure on him.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
like,
mean,
if you don't do it, I will.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which again could be another thing where you see a lot of crashes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm betting on Lando coming through for McLaren on this one. I really see it for him this year.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
fair
I think
enough.
that's of the most unexpected. I think that is the most rational, if that makes sense.
I would take
That's
that
true.
any day of the
I don't
week.
know.
Yeah.
I see. I mean, the Max not winning the first race. That's not like, it's not impossible, but it's kind of hard to believe
Yeah.
considering the year he just came off of.
By
Yeah.
by our standards today, that is a little hard to believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 But,
So,
you know.
Well, I think Jason's is also very rational.
Yeah, because Logan Sargent, I think, is a way better driver than Mick Schumacher.
mhm.
And it's shown by his Formula 2 experience. He really only had 1 full season of Formula 2. In 2021, he only did 3 races, but in 2022 was his first full season, and he finished 4th, which is super impressive. Like, the Tiffy took, how many, 3 or 4 years to win come second. I don't even think he won Formula 2.
Right.
And Mick Schumacher took 2 years to win Formula 2. Logan showed up first full season, 4th place. And I agree with Marina here is that he was in F1 way too early. And I bet he's going to improve so much this year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
well,
see it.
well, my question is, what is your definition of an amazing year for Logan Sargent?
Is that constant points?
Yeah.
I see him almost level on points with Albon. Like, that needs to be an amazing year. He needs to be
Yeah,
level on
I'd say
points
that.
with
Okay.
Albon.
I'd say
Okay.
if we're just I'm just gonna put a number out there. Let's say if Alex is getting 25, then I think if Logan is anywhere in the range of the 20s,
Oh, yeah.
he's that's an amazing year for him.
Yep.
Right.
Agreed.
All right, for sake of time, we're not going to do biggest flop for constructors, but we will do biggest flop for the drivers. Is it any shock that I think it's Sergio Perez?
Is
Well-
it even a flop?
Well,
His
that's exactly
expectations
what
are
I was
so
gonna
low.
say. I was like, I mean, he would really have to do bad for that to be a flop, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But I
Yeah.
get the point. I get the point.
I don't know. I just.
I mean,
it
he's
is a
still got
flop.
second this year. If he finishes like 5th, like that was a
That's a
flop
flop.
for Bottas in 2018. Like
That's
he
true.
was
That's
in
a
that
good
Mercedes
comparison.
with Hamilton, and he finished like so low.
Yep,
That was a pretty low for him.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's rational. I think it is 100%. Because again, that's actually a really good comparison. Is saying like Bottas finishing 5th during that Mercedes like dominance. It's like we consider that. Yeah, like what the heck is going on? Dude? You need to be second every race.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, totally fair.
Yeah.
For me, I say Danny Ricciardo is not going to live up to the hype, and that sucks because
poor
I
Danny.
I'm scared
really
of that,
like
too.
I really like Daniel Ricciardo. I think everybody in this room could say that we like Danny Ricciardo.
Oh yeah.
And most Formula One fans also would probably agree. But like, I don't know if it's actually his fault. I'm thinking maybe VCarb isn't going to be as good. But I don't know. It's my prerogative that I don't believe he's going to do nearly as well as some people are expecting him to do.
Yeah, I see it. I see that.
Um,
All right. What about Steven?
Yeah, so mine, I have George Russell on this. We talked about, I think Tristan talked
What's
about
a
this.
flop for George Russell? Is
That's
that
a good question.
like 6 to 10 in the drivers?
Yeah.
To be
yeah,
fair, he was like pretty far behind Hamilton this year.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't see him doing particularly well, especially with all the drama at Mercedes right now. I mean, I don't think it's going to be catastrophic, but I just don't think it's going to be anywhere near as good as he was last year. That's kind of my take on it.
right. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that. I think that's fully what's it called? On the same plane of kind of what I was saying, which is like I think there is talent and there's speed in the grid that is better than Mercedes. And that's going to coincide with George Russell not performing nearly as well
Yeah.
as expected, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say my biggest flop is Sainz. He's done terrific so far to keep up with
Yeah.
Leclerc in 2021 and in this past year. But 2022, you saw most of the time Leclerc would just destroy him in qualifying
Yeah.
and in the race.
right.
And of course, he did so great in Singapore this year to win the race. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't see him improving. He's under a lot of pressure,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I just see Leclerc taking up a notch.
Yeah, well, I know we've talked about it a couple of different times now, but it can't be understated the amount of pressure that's on Carlos Sainz this season. I mean,
His teammates secure in his seat,
Yeah.
so Leclerc's under no pressure. Leclerc probably actually has a little bit of good pressure because next year he's literally teammates with Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I feel like-
And Leclerc's usually outscored and outqualified him. So Leclerc has confidence sky high with
Yeah.
Yeah.
with good motivators, and Sainz has
Yeah.
no contract next year.
yeah,
There's,
yeah.
I think there's definitely pressure on Leclerc. I would almost say like this is your year, because if he doesn't do it this year, how confident are we that he is over Hamilton? Because Hamilton is world class, and my grandma will
yeah.
be the first to tell you he is the best driver on the grid, no matter the car he's in or the team he's at. And as much as we say like Leclerc is Ferrari's boy, I still
George
think
Russell beat him in 2022.
anyone coming in. I know, but
Oh.
anyone that's coming in can still take that number one driver's
Yeah.
seat,
Well-
especially if you're Lewis Hamilton.
That's
So-
Yeah.
Who's to say that Lewis Hamilton is number 2 driver at Ferrari? Like, I think he could come in and very easily be number 1 driver.
he could, but I mean, the amount of pressure that's gonna be on him next year.
I disagree. I don't think.
I think it will, because like you
I
made
think
this
there's
big fuss and then you
external
come in
pressure.
and then you don't perform. It's like
There's external pressure.
There's always pressure. But also, I mean, like, how can you deny the concept of a 7-time world champion being your number 1 driver? I mean, like,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
can you, like, deny, like, nah, we're just bringing him in. You just say he's geriatric. We just kind of want him for marketing.
Geriatric
you know?
is
Be
crazy.
equal.
Yeah.
Just like
Well-
2007, his rookie year, he shows up with the reigning double world champion Fernando Alonso
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
teammate at McLaren, and they fought it out. They fought out as equals. And the reason why McLaren lost that year is because they couldn't choose one or the other. Do you choose Alonso or a rookie Hamilton? And neither of them won in 2007. Raikkonen took it in the Ferrari.
Yeah.
I see that playing out next year. You know, Hamilton, this is his dream job. Go race for Ferrari. They're giving him literally everything and anything he wants. Charles locked in long-term contract. He's been at the team for years. He really trusts Ferrari and Vasseur. So I think we're in for a teammate battle of all time that we haven't seen since 2016.
True.
And it might actually cost Ferrari the championship.
Oh,
so
that's a hot take.
I'm a little skeptical about 2025, but I'm super excited for Lewis Hamilton to be in red.
All right.
That's
Well, speaking of Charles Leclerc, he is my prediction for most pole positions for 2024.
As mine, so I don't need to say anymore. He's incredible at qualifying.
He is probably one of the best qualifiers on the grid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good for about a lap, and then things fall apart. But
that is a hot take.
well, we go back to Brazil. He wasn't even good for a lap. But
oh my God, that is so depressing. That is so depressing.
Yeah, I remember watching again. We
Sad
watched that
true.
live together. We were like, "What? What just happened?"
Yeah.
We thought we missed something. Like somebody torpedoed him. Like
Yeah,
on the,
I was like, why is he alone?
Yeah.
He
So
did have the
alone?
hydraulic failure, though.
No,
It wasn't his
it
fault.
wasn't his fault.
No, it wasn't his
Like,
fault.
You know.
Sorry,
But he
I have
just-
to defend Leclerc.
He seems to get so unlucky.
Yeah.
He got unlucky in Bahrain. He got unlucky in Brazil. He got unlucky so many more times during that year. So
Literally, everyone's just hoping that. I think even as just a fan of the sport, you could be a Verstappen fan. You could be whatever you want. But everyone's hoping that he just has at least a clean year. Like something where,
competitive year.
on his results alone, things happen, not because of other things happening.
yeah.
But
Very true.
But yeah,
See
my pole position, I've got Max Verstappen. I have a feeling that Red Bull's going to step it up a notch this year in terms of their qualifying performance. I mean, they were great last year. They've been great, but I feel like Verstappen's going to be like, I don't know, he's going to be top dog in terms of everything. So pole position, I believe, is going to be him.
That is fair.
Yeah.
Well, I have Lando going in as most polls.
I have so many arguments against that.
McLaren
Well, let's
fanboy.
hear him, Judge.
Well, first and foremost, Lando Norris has gotten on himself, like personally down on himself so many times, saying he's a shit qualifier.
Marina, you have McLaren as the constructors' champions.
But pole position doesn't get you any points.
But it sure helps.
Yeah.
It really do. I mean, yeah. I
No.
mean, to that point, you're kind of saying that he's coming back from the mid grid every race.
No, I think he's going to be second, third, fourth. That's not mid-grid.
Yeah.
I think he's still going to be at the top of the grid. I just don't see him qualifying on top of Leclerc, Max.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like, as much as we don't consider Max, I don't consider Max even close to the best qualifier on the grid.
Right.
However, he is a very consistent driver, consistent qualifier.
That's fair. That's fair.
And whether or not he was on pole, he was always in the top 3-ish all year long. And yes, he had the best car, but Perez was out in Q1 how many times last year?
More than he should have.
Yeah.
And that
for
number
sure. He never
is
should have been out.
1. He shouldn't have been in out of Q1 once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
All right. Tristan, you said Max Verstappen?
Max Verstappen pole position. Yep.
Yep.
As we were just talking about. Is he I don't know.
Consistent.
I just think it's consistency. I think he's going to
Yeah.
be consistent in every category.
Didn't he have the most this year?
I believe
Probably.
so. I don't know off the top of my head.
I mean-
I just don't think that's going to change.
No.
Does this 575 points? How
Just
many
like the shirt
race?
says.
20, how many race wins?
I don't know. Check the shirt.
God, check
Come
the
on,
shirt.
Max Verstappen fan.
The shirt.
I think
Got it.
19 is the answer,
19
right?
race wins, 10 in a row.
There you
It's on
go.
the shirt.
1,003 laps led. Oh, God.
12 wins from pole.
86%
There you go. It says right
win
there.
percentage.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you
Well,
go.
there was the new thing that came out like towards the end of the year where it was like, here we go, another Leclerc pole, Max Verstappen win. Do you guys remember that?
Don't remember that.
Where it
It's
was like
happened.
Max had more wins from Leclerc's poles than Leclerc had wins from his poles.
That
Yep.
is actually crazy.
That's a real stat.
100% true.
That is crazy.
It's 100% true.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Moving on. Random crazy prediction of the year.
Ooh.
Tristan, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I don't know if mine is exactly a crazy prediction, but I think it is kind of crazy in terms of what I think the season's going to pan out to be. I have not a single red flag throughout the entire season.
Holy
I have a strong
moly.
feeling that we're going to have a safe year. Like, meaning I feel like the drivers on the grid, it coincides with nobody's coming in and out of a driver's spot. We have the same grid that we had last year. People had a whole year of getting everyone's tendencies down and stuff like that. Young drivers are getting more seat time. They're getting more experience. They've driven each and every single one of the tracks before. I
Yeah.
have a feeling that we are going to have
A
a
cleaner
very
year.
level-headed and a clear year in
Yeah.
terms of racing.
That would be awesome.
I think it goes against directly the principle of motor racing in general, which is like crashes happen and like wrecks, happen. And red flags are, especially in Formula One, they happen quite a bit.
I don't remember any happening in 2018. I'm like trying to think back to when was there a year without a red flag? Maybe 2018.
2018.
Yeah. Well, the
Maybe.
thing I'll say that is tough, especially with Formula One, I feel like if you're getting a yellow flag, unless it's like a sector flag, I feel like there's like a 95% chance you're getting a red flag too.
I don't know, red flag. Safety car for sure.
Safety car for sure.
There's
I
a
don't know about
chance-
red flag though.
There's a chance that, if we are able to avoid, they are able to avoid red flags in places like Baku, Jeddah,
Australia last year was insane.
Monaco.
Yep.
Then there's a very good percentage that a chance that we don't get any red flags.
Yep.
Yeah.
That we get a lot of safety cars, for example, a lot of yellow flags,
true. I
but
didn't think about
not red flags.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Sure.
Never
Sure.
know.
My random crazy prediction is that Ferrari doesn't mess up their strategy. At least not as
That's
much as they
so
did.
mean.
Knock on wood. I don't know.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Do we have wood in here? Knock on wood.
We do.
When we're there,
Yeah. I think that could be a good pull for them. I think that could,
Yes, it would be.
That'd be very nice.
it's random. It's also very crazy because Ferrari.
They've had a bit of a shuffle. Their deputy team principal, the second in charge, Lauren Meckes, he officially left this year because he's now the team principal of VCarb.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
So maybe we see some strategy changes.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Possibly.
Perhaps.
Mayhaps. Okay.
Mayhaps.
Mayhaps.
I said Ricardo podium. The VCarb doesn't look like a podium finishing car, but hey, this guy has gotten podiums in the Renault. He won
Yeah.
a race in
With McLaren. Yeah.
He has gotten so many different podiums and stuff when he was
Also-
at Red Bull.
Yep.
There was that Monza win for Pierre Gasly. You tell me that AlphaTauri was podium, even podium worthy?
I mean,
race
they've had
win-worthy?
a downfall since then, but
Yeah.
that was still insane. They fought off McLaren. Carlos Sainz was fighting for that win
Yeah.
and pulled ahead.
But like
So-
I said, also, I think that them going towards being a true Red Bull sister team, anything is possible.
Yeah, now the more I think about it, the more I convince myself that this is not that crazy. This is more like Ricardo's probably going to pull this off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
so mine is it's more than just a crazy prediction, I'll say, because it's kind
It's
of
a bit of a stretch.
It is a
Yeah.
bit of a stretch.
I think a lot of things have to happen, but I actually have I have Max and Ricardo being a 1-2 punch. Now, this is of course assuming a lot of things, which kind of makes it unexpected and crazy, which is saying that Ricardo is going to go back to Red Bull
Okay.
and replace
That makes
Perez.
it less crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that part of it's not crazy, but
I mean, how many times have we seen a mid-year switch when it comes to Red Bull?
Max
Like,
Verstappen. That's literally
So
what
many.
happened.
Max had
Yeah.
it. He had Alex. You got Pierre. I mean, it's happened so many times, and
Yeah.
we saw it in the AlphaTauri or the VCarb last year. So I don't think it's out of the picture.
yeah, I
at
mean,
all.
I don't think the move itself is too crazy. What I will say is I think that it's more crazy to say that Ricardo is going to be
It's gonna come in and be straight on.
Yeah.
Number
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, it's gonna be good with Max Verstappen. I mean, I think coming in, I think he would be better than Perez was for sure. But
Right.
Yeah.
yeah,
All
We'll see.
right. Last prediction.
Mm.
Race with the most red/yellow flags. Now I know Tristan
Well, red in my
said
opinion. Yeah.
no red flags.
Yellow flags are always gonna. They're
But
always
yellow flags
gonna
are
be.
always.
Yeah.
I said Australia because last year that was the race with the most
Yep.
red flags, and I just think that you don't expect it. Like if
The
you
new
look
layout
at the
may have to
layout,
do something with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, you look at the layout and I don't necessarily see big, like, it's not like that tight of walls. It's nothing like a Monaco or a Jeddah or whatever, but I don't know why. It's just
Well, maybe actually
chaotic.
reverse thinking about it is that's what encourages it because you have more room to work with. I mean,
Yeah.
guys
That's
can be
fair.
a little riskier than
That's
like
fair.
Monaco. Like, you
Yeah.
know, when you get to like, I'm terrible with like the names of the corners and all that, but you know, as a driver, there's only like a couple of places where you can probably make some
Yeah.
moves.
Yeah.
And the other times you have to be conservative. Like Australia, you can be more wide open. So
That's
that's
true.
why it
Yeah.
can
Makes sense.
encourage more destructive behavior.
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
Definitely see
Well, I'll kind of go ahead with mine just because you kind of talked about it. I did go with Monaco. And
There you go.
I think, you kind of touched on it, but I think to your point, there is a lot more risk at Monaco to be had, especially with there's a lot less corners that you can make, good moves on.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Being
absolutely.
Well,
on
Monaco's-
the coast with the rain. The
Yeah.
last
Yep.
red flag there
Oh,
was
God.
2022. They had a long delay
Yeah.
for just rain
Well,
flooding the
So,
track.
Yeah.
I kind of think about it too. Looking at the first race at Nashville for IndyCar, I feel like that's a similar thing that could happen at Monaco. Obviously, Monaco is one of the oldest races in F1,
Yep.
but I think there's still a lot of room for error, or not a lot of room for error.
Monaco
The other way
to
around.
me is like, I don't think you're gonna. I think the most category is like the toughest one for Monaco because I don't think you get a lot of cautions in Monaco.
Yeah.
But when a caution does happen,
Yeah.
It's immediately almost a red flag.
It's almost immediately
Yeah.
a red flag, and then also it's almost like a guarantee if there's like 5 cars right next to each other, all 5 of them are knocked out.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
because of the nature of how small it is. That's just how it goes.
And the other thing is too, I know we talked about it. We have a lot of drivers this year who have a lot of pressure on them.
yeah.
Yep.
So I think that could
Big
probably play
contract
into it too.
Huge
Absolutely.
contract year.
Yeah.
15 contracts up for grabs, like we
Yeah.
talked about last
So
week.
I think you're gonna have a lot of drivers pushing it very, very hard, especially in Monaco,
Yep.
trying
Yep.
to get those points.
Yeah, for me, I had Vegas. So
That's
not
a good
real a rhyme or reason. I also just thought that Vegas this year. I mean, we had a couple of mishaps. Like Lando just kind of, I don't know. Didn't he just lose the car or like I don't
Yeah, he,
remember
like, hit a
exactly. what
I think it
happened.
just snapped.
Yeah.
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 But I think we're gonna have a goofy Vegas weekend this year. I feel like it's gonna be like where this year we had a great race. Like it was an excellent time. I think
Oh,
everyone left
absolutely.
Vegas like positive. I think for some reason or another we're gonna have a wreck-filled Vegas Grand Prix this year.
That's fair.
mine.
Interesting.
It's just literally just a gut feeling. It's not because of the track is dangerous or it's like it just encourages a reckless
yeah.
driver. No, I have a feeling. This is my feeling is that it's just gonna be a wreck fest.
I like that.
I said Baku because Baku almost always has chaos. 2017 was insane.
Yeah, it's always
Um,
crazy.
Yep.
2018 a little bit calmer. 2021 Verstappen had his tire blowout and Perez got Hamilton to lock up into turn 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm.
Baku's always a tight and risky track, whether it's during
Yeah.
qualifying or the race. It's so weird because you got the front straight, which is literally just a super wide, high speed, one of the longest straights in F1. And then you got sector 2, which is literally through the back streets of Baku,
Mhm.
Yeah.
past the old ancient castle,
Yep.
and literally barely the width of an F1 car
Yeah.
going through that chicane.
Mm.
So
Well,
it's always
also, it's so
a recipe
deceiving.
for disaster.
Yeah.
It's also so deceiving. Like you have that really wide straight in the back. I think it's the back straight. But then you also have these super tight corners. The one thing is that Baku does have a little bit of runoff. So there is that, but still there's always so many crashes in
Always
Like in
is.
Singapore,
you
there
ever
isn't a
get-
straight that's long enough to get insane speed
Yeah.
like Baku. But
Yep.
Baku is literally, I think it is the longest straight on the calendar.
I think so too. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, that concludes our predictions. But 9 days until Bahrain
Oh,
testing.
man.
Oh, yeah.
Single
Six-
digits.
What is it? 19 days until lights out
Yep.
Yup.
in Bahrain. I am so excited.
Single digits for
I'm
cars on
ready.
track, and that's all I can ask
Oh,
for.
it's great. All right. Quote of the day.
Okay.
This is a
Sponsored by
little bit of-
Jason Ignoli.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Jason Agnoli.
For this is a bit of a stretch. I don't know if even Jason Ignoli is going to get this one.
Okay.
Ooh.
I'm ready.
Okay. Winning is one thing, but out of losing, I always learned more.
Ooh, that is a tough one.
Winning is one thing.
I will give you hints, and that is that it's not very current.
I didn't think so. It sounded older.
Yeah.
Is
Wise
it,
mind.
Is it a driver still alive?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Oh no!
I don't know if he's still alive. I'll be completely honest with you.
Wow, dang.
Wow, that just
That
made it
narrows
10
it
times
down.
harder.
What?
I don't know. That narrows it down.
I don't even. Once you said that, I completely
not-
lost.
It's not Schumacher,
He's
right?
not die. He did die. He's not alive.
Oh, he did die. Okay.
It is
Okay.
not Schumacher.
Okay.
Well,
I had to
Schumacher's
double
still
check on that,
alive.
and that's really
Schumacher
bad on my part. I
alive.
should have known.
He's just brain dead,
But
he's still alive.
Unfortunately. So he is dead.
I mean, I guess the question would be: is this someone
Niki
who?
Lauda.
yes.
Yeah.
Hey, what a
Wow.
fool!
Well
What
done.
Dang.
well done.
There you go.
I was
Oh.
thinking like Jody Scheckter, and then like he used to race for Ferrari.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nikki has always had like
Wise
in terms
mind.
of in terms of an impression on the grid, he's always been like everyone looks up to him as a
Yeah.
wise mind
Oh,
type
yeah.
of thing. So that was like immediately as soon as you said dead, I was like, well, it can't be Ayrton Senna because I feel like as soon as I had said, "Is he dead?" you would have known. You'd be like, "Yes, he's dead."
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah. I wasn't 100% sure. I was pretty sure he had died,
It
but
was a couple years ago, right?
yeah, it was 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have predictions of your own, drop them in the comments. And do not forget to tune in around, I think it's 5:50 to 360 Sports PSU on YouTube. I will put the link in our bio
Thursday.
to watch
Yes, sir.
our livery talk or whatnot. If you want more from us, as always, Tech Tuesday, Wag Wednesday, Throwback Thursday, Fun Fact Friday, and Man on the Streets are on our Instagram and TikTok at Lights Out Latest, and the podcast, as always, Mondays at 11:30 Eastern Time. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Adios.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Peace.